Okay. So just a couple of tips. Presentation. Have they given you kind of the remit for the presentation? Like how long? Have they limited the number of slides? Have they kind of say what you need to present on? 10 minutes. Okay. Because when I presented, I've done 10-minute presentations. I've done a few, and usually when I present, I do tend to get the jobs, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm very comfortable on public speaking. So there's a couple things, couple tips here. Okay, so that's relatively easy. Okay, what you need to do is you need to structure it. So you need to, if you can, find a quote that you can use to introduce it. Need to be structured. So structure it. Have an introduction. Tell them what you're going to talk about. And then kind of really spend a little bit of time introducing. Focus on just one key point. So if they're talking about a passion that's loosely related to the industry, focus on one point of that passion you picked up, because you're not, you believe me, when I presented, 10 minutes goes very, very fast, especially if you have like 10 slides. And so what you want to do is with that, and if you're just joining, if you have a question, just please put it down below and I will pick it up next. So focus on that one point and just really kind of develop it and talk about it. And then, and talk about that one point, and maybe if you can, break that one point down into maybe 1 or 2, 3 different points. And so have like little sub points about it and talk about that. So it would be like an introduction, start with the quote, introduce, tell them what you're going to talk about, give them a little bit of background of why you picked it, how you feel it relates to the industry, talk about that point, and then come with a bit of a summary, and then take questions for it. Ideally, what you should be having, it should be, roughly ballpark estimate between 5 to 10 slides with it. You don't need a lot of slides. Ideally, slides should be about 1 to 2 minutes each. If you have probably more than 10, you need to kind of step down. Make sure you just give a little chance to ask questions. Make sure that you go through the remit and making sure that it matches everything. Also, too, the one thing I find is this: practice it a bit. Take a good idea, because what happens is when you go and do these, you do get, do presentations, you'll speak a lot faster. And when you're relaxed, you'll speak a little bit slower. So if you do a couple practice runs to get an idea of how long it is, you can do some editing to either extend it or make it a bit short. The other thing, what you want to do too, is when you're doing your practices, make sure that you do enough so that it becomes very natural to you. So if you get a little bit nervous and you kind of go blank, kind of know where you're at, and you can kind of pull yourself out. Because I find the more I can practice, and the more I don't need to look at my notes, my little slide notes, the better off I can be. And what you want to do is, from when I do my slides, and again, if you're just joining, feel free to put down a note to me, and I will get back to you really quick. And right now, if you're just joining, talking about doing presentations for an interview. So what you want to do with it is make it natural, make it conversation. The way you do it is you kind of, when you do your notes and stuff, you talk about the subject, but you kind of just draw onto the slides. You don't read the slides verbatim, because guess what? They can read. So you don't need to read it to them verbatim, but kind of talk it through, have some notes, draw on it and use those as, the slides as a way to reinforce your points. So really kind of do it as a presentation, but your slides are there to kind of highlight points, to draw their attention to certain specific things. So the more engaging you can, the better off. And the way you make it engaging is this: if you can, find statistics, relate an event of your own, tell a personal story, make it memorable, Yes, I would say that, yeah. You can do a script, and I would say, a little bit of a scripting of it. And so, use your slides um as a way to draw people in, to really highlight, hey, Ramatu, good to see you. And if you're just joining, talking about how to do a presentation for an interview using slides and talking through it. So if anyone else that's just joining has a question on it, put it down. Let's make this, quite engaging. So yeah, so what you need to do is, try to relate a personal story, take, something personal, use statistics, use it, make people really think about it. No problem. And so, just be really careful about the timing, because you want to stay, it's okay if you come in like 9 minutes, 30 seconds, no problem. Or if you just go slightly over, but they don't want you going way over. So if you go like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 seconds, I don't think it's going to be an issue. But, it's always good to keep it right at around 10 minutes, because what they want to also see, because really what a presentation is about communication and how precise you can be by taking, some complex information and narrowing it down. So it is a way to show your communication skills.